Business Administration student in Community Economic Development at Cape Breton University. And today I will be presenting my master's research proposal, testing the practical validity of the adult-oriented sport coaching survey as a tool for professional development for master's coaches, sorry. And this research will be under the supervision of Dr. Bettina Callery and supported by funding from SSHRC. So just to start, I've created this model to depict the research and rigor that has gone into the context of master's athletes and master's coaches. So master's athletes are individuals typically 35 years old and older who participate in organized sport. So thus far, research has told us that master's coaches do in fact influence master's athletes' outcomes in and out of sport. And this is supported by fulfilling specific psychosocial coaching needs that align with adult learning principles. So essentially understanding that adults learn differently from youth, and it is important that we cater to these needs. So this has sparked the need to provide better coach and professional development specific for master's athletes, so the master's coaching context. In 2020, the research team created a self-assessment tool for coaches, and research has identified that the use of the AOSC survey and the practices align with better coach-athlete relationship and basic psychological needs. So what we see now is coaches' participation in the survey, but we seek to understand the practical validity of the AOSC. So the conceptual framework for this research proposal is the Adult-Oriented Sport Coaching Survey, which, as I mentioned, is a survey created by the same team of researchers who has put this extensive research into not only understanding master's athletes, but also understanding how master's coaches can influence their athletes' sporting experience. So the AOSC, for short, is a 22-item survey that addresses the frequency of behaviors within 5 factors. And these 5 factors are considering the individuality of athletes, framing learning situations, imparting coaching knowledge, respecting preferences for effort, accountability, and feedback, and lastly, creating personalized programming. So the purpose of this research proposal is to test the practical validity and utility of the AOSC. Thus far, it has faced validity, criterion validity, and factorial validity, but we still seek to understand its practical use. So essentially, we're trying to answer the question, is this useful, and if so, how? So when we look back at our Coaching Masters Athletes working model, we are now here. As I mentioned, understanding its practical use. So the participants for this study will be 15 master's coaches from a variety of sporting backgrounds. We want to provide ourselves with as diverse perspectives as possible, and we don't want to, being a tool, the survey is a tool, we don't want to limit ourselves with too much criteria. So the main criteria here for participants is being actively involved in master's coaching. So being a master's coach themselves or being involved in some sort. So in terms of methods, coaches complete the AOSC, they complete the survey, then they attend a 1-hour webinar that is put on by the research team. And this webinar gives participants greater insight into the research that has become the foundation of this survey and also gives them insight on where we anticipate going with it. So from here, participants will receive a personal scorecard, and the scores are made up of results within each one of the 5 factors. And then here's where my piece comes in the research. Interviewing regarding their perspectives of the utility of this tool. So this is a larger research project, and my piece here is to add a qualitative perspective. So essentially, participants are recruited through their organization's administration. So provincial or national organization administrators come to the research team and they request to participate in the AOSC. From here, the research team provides the participants with the survey, and after completion, the 1-hour webinar. From here, participants will receive a personal scorecard. And the personal scorecard, as I mentioned, outlines their results in each one of the 5 factors. So this is where my piece comes in. I would provide the athletes with this scorecard and then have an interview, and more so than an interview, a conversation with them on interpreting these scores and understanding how now they can take these results and apply them to their coaching practices. So I've kind of zoomed in a little bit on our model just for the sake of space. And we go back to the model, again, understanding its foundation, why and how this AOSC was created. And in terms of our anticipated implications, we would hope that having a better understanding of the practical utility of the AOSC would help us create improved coach development and coaching for masters athletes, which as a result, we would like to see better coaching, better sport experiences, and potential increased participation in master sport in general. So essentially, we see this building block of the rigor and research behind its creation, now participation, and the purpose of this research, understanding how we can use it and create better coach development. Thank you everybody for watching, and I look forward to answering some questions.